Really? Oh
Hey
my
guys,
gosh.
guess what?
You have sounds?
My mic works tonight.
We don't have to just sit there and look at you. You actually get to participate.
I mean, you want to actively look at me anyways, but
I mean, Nate does talk about that when you're not around.
To be fair, we didn't even know he was muted, so it didn't really matter. So,
That is true.
the whole time. The whole time.
No, I literally just thought that you were like taking it in, didn't really have questions. That's I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome.
Oh, I had questions. It just couldn't happen. So
maybe that was for the best.
Probably.
Might have been. But I am excited for, well, I don't want to say excited because that sounds really bad, but tonight's show is going to be pretty interesting. I know we've all been doing our research and really looking into it, and we have mixed feelings about it. But I do want to say before we get into the case that this is very much like a viewer discretion advised, because we are going to be talking a couple of things that might be considered triggers, might be a little graphic. We are going to play a 911 call, and we're also going to have images and diagrams of bits and pieces from the case. So I just want to let everybody know if you're a little squeamish or if you get triggered by certain things, maybe tonight's show is not for you. But anyway, moving on. I know you guys are excited about this case. So do one of you guys want to start it off?
I'm going to let Nate take over.
I will go ahead. So tonight we are talking about the mysterious death of Ellen Greenberg, and I will say death with quotations because depends on who you talk to. It was either a homicide or a suicide, depending on the day, I guess is the right way to look at it. So this was, I got the date, it was January 26th, 2011. So we're 14 years ago at this point, right? Is my math right?
I don't know. My math doesn't math, so.
The math isn't mathing?
It's a Thursday night. Nobody's mathing.
No, nobody's mathing at 9 o'clock on a Thursday. Just trust me, bro. It was 14 years ago.
I'll just take your word for it this time.
Well, so Ellen, depending, and I've seen the name a couple different ways. She was a school teacher in Philadelphia, and between, I want to say it was the 25th through the 27th in Philadelphia, it was January, huge snowstorm going on. They got like 14, 15 inches of snow, which, I mean, for us in this area, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you get to places that aren't equipped for that kind of snow, that's quite a bit. So on the afternoon of the 26th, she left school early, about 1 o'clock is what I saw, because they shut down for the day because for the weather and all that stuff. So she leaves school, she goes, gets a full tank of gas in her car, drives home, starts doing stuff at home, made phone calls. I saw she was putting in grades and stuff like remotely, like putting, grading papers and stuff like that, I guess. And then her boyfriend decides to go to the gym about 4:30. Does that sound right? I think that was right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep the time. The timeline's a little skewed, maybe, but.
Yeah, he was her fiance. They had
fiance, yes.
Yeah, they were engaged, and they were actually coming up. Their wedding was a few months from when this had taken place.
They had just mailed out their save the dates to people 2 days before this. I saw that as I was doing my research. So, a very big thing coming up for them, both of them. So he goes to the gym, and they live in this apartment complex, and they live up on the 6th floor. The gym is actually in the building on the 1st floor. So he didn't leave or anything like that. He stayed in there. They've got surveillance cameras where he's literally doing everything he said. About a half hour, he comes back up and goes to enter their apartment. He can't get in. The door is locked from the inside. Not just a normal, like a regular lock, but one of those. What do you call those? I call them hotel locks.
That's what, like a door latch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like a little latch, and you could slide the thing over, and it's like you could open the door so far, but can't open it all the way.
Like a chain lock.
Not even a chain. It's like just a metal bar type thing. But yeah.
Oh, they have the bar one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he starts freaking out and, trying to figure out, why isn't she answering the door? And then he started messaging her, like they got records on the cell phones and stuff like that. Open the door. What are you doing? I'm getting pissed. Hello. You better have an excuse. What the F? And yada, yada. Until he finally goes downstairs to get security to say, hey, like, can you guys unlock this door? Do you have an extra key to open the door? The maintenance guy's gone for the night. He's, it's 6 o'clock at this point. So the security calls the maintenance guy from what I saw. And the guy's like, well, he tells the maintenance guy, like, well, I'm just going to kick it down because, I can't get in here.
No.
He kicks the door down. He gets in and he finds his fiance on the ground in the kitchen with blood everywhere. At that point, nobody knows anything about what happened to her and all that. And that's where it starts to get a little interesting, right, Ashley?
It does. So when he first of all, let's back up because from the beginning, I think his story is a load of crap, to be honest. I'm just going to put it out there. I think his story, because he says he kicked in the door, but the pictures, the evidence, like, of the door, there was no shoe marks, there was no broken pieces. Literally the only thing that was broken on the door was the little 4 screws that hold in the part that goes into the slidey thing. And we all know, like you had said previously before we got on here, is you can YouTube how to lock and unlock that with a coat hanger.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sorry, but as a guy who goes to the gym for he was gone for a half hour. So you have to think about him leaving, walking, getting to the gym, walking back, all that stuff. Who goes to the gym for, we'll say, 15, 20 minutes? Unless you're getting a run in, Yeah. But I don't know. It's just, a lot of it's very sketchy to me. And when he comes in the house and we have the police call, the 911 call, thanks to Nate, he did a great job with it. And we're going to play that in a minute. But when he walks in and he calls 911, he cannot answer any of the questions. She goes, is she bleeding? He goes, I don't know. Yes, a little bit. But then he says there's blood all over her. Then it's, how did she die? Or how did she get injured? I don't know. But it just doesn't make sense with what the police find when they show up. But,
so let me ask you one question. So I did, on purpose, minimal research on this case because I wanted to have a fresh mind.
So you didn't even hear the call yet?
I didn't. No.
I'm so excited for you to listen to it.
I didn't hear about the case either. So I just have some basic information.
Okay.
But my question is, and maybe one of you can answer it, did anyone, security or maintenance, see him kick in the door?
Here is the thing. And I was going to mention that after the call. So they have camera footage of him like in the lobby and going to the gym, but there is no camera on their floor. So there's no physical footage. The only thing that they did say is that they had questioned like neighbors, and the neighbors said that they never heard a commotion. Now I'm sorry, but if you're banging on a door, like if I'm banging on a door, I'm banging on the door like the police. Like you're going, especially if you start to get frustrated, people are going to hear a so-called ruckus. So for them to say, we didn't hear anything except when he said he kicked the door in. What do you mean? You didn't hear knocking? You didn't hear banging? You didn't hear Ellie or Ellen, let me in? Like, the normal human reactions. But I'm going to play the police call right now. And then Tom, I cannot wait to get your take on this, especially with you being like married and this is a terrible thing, but like imagine if you were coming home and like you saw this, like would this be your response? And again, everybody, discretion advised. If you don't like it, go away for like 4 minutes and then come back.
Help! I need a emergency now. I just walked to my apartment. My fiance's on the floor with blood everywhere.
What is the address?
4601 Flat Rock Road. Please come help now.
4601
Flat Rock Road.
Is this a house or apartment?
Oh no! Oh no! It's an apartment. Please hurry,
Where
please.
is she bleeding from?
I don't know. I can't tell.
No, sir, you have to calm yourself down in order to get you some help.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm looking at her right now. I can't see anything. There's nothing broken. She's bleeding. Ellie!
You don't know where she's bleeding from? Can't tell where the blood's coming from?
I think her head. I think she hit her head, I think. But it's everywhere.
Okay, sir,
it's everywhere.
Think she might have fallen? Do you know what happened?
She may have slipped. There's blood on the table. Her face is a little purple.
Okay, hold on for rescue for her. Stay on the phone. What's wrong?
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering. So after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. I see her now just on the floor with blood. She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really.
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. So I bring her.
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I don't.
Okay, I can tell you what to do, okay, until they get there. I want you to keep her flat on her.
God.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, okay.
Are you willing to do CPR with me over the phone until they get there?
I have to, right?
Okay, so get her flat on her back, bare her chest, okay? You want to rip her shirt off. Okay? You need to kneel down by her side.
Oh, my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh, my God. She stabbed herself.
Where?
She fell on a knife. Oh, no, her knife's sticking out.
Her what?
There's a knife sticking out of her heart.
Oh, she stabbed herself?
I guess so. I don't know where she fell on it. I don't know.
Okay, well, don't touch it.
Okay, so I just let her down here now. I mean, what do I do?
No, I mean, you can't. If the knife is at her chest, it's going to be kind of hard for you to do CPR at this time.
Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Police, which operator? 277.
Is someone coming here?
Yes, they are. You said 4601 Flat Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay, someone's on the way. And the knife is still inside?
Wait, so what?
The knife is still inside of her?
Yes, I didn't take it out.
Was it her chest or what area?
It's in her chest. It looks like it's right in her heart.
Okay, someone's on the way out there. Okay, just get.
Oh my God! Okay.
How old is she?
She's 27.
27, and there's no sign of life at all.
No, please don't be. What?
Pinch her under her arm and tell me if she responds to pain.
Ellie. She's not. Her hands are still warm. I don't know if that means, but there's blood everywhere. I mean.
I know, but you can't, and the knife is still inside of her. How far? Can you see how far it went in?
It looks pretty deep.
Okay.
It looks it's a long knife.
Don't touch anything. Yeah, don't touch anything, okay?
I'm not touching anything. I can't believe this, though.
So wait, it was just you there with her?
We're the only ones here.
And she ran in the door, you said latched it shut?
No, I went downstairs to work out, and when I came back up, the door was latched.
Oh.
Like it was, it wasn't like it was like locked from the inside, and I'm yelling. So I'm
was
yelling.
Your house broken into?
No.
So there's no sign of a break-in?
No sign of a break-in at all. I mean, there will be when you get here because I had to break the latch, but to get in.
Okay, 4601.
So, tell me.
Well, let me preface this first.
I don't mean to.
We're not saying anybody's guilty of anything here, but let's just, for legal reasons, because
legally we cannot say, but we can give opinions. Our opinion can say that either we think he did it, or that he didn't do it, or he had a part in it, or he didn't. But Ryan is in the comments, and instantly after some of this video played, he's like, "I have to, right? Yeah, he did it." Like if your spouse is on the ground and they say, "Can you do CPR?" You're gonna say, "Well, I have to." Bro, I would have been beaten on my husband's chest like, "MFer, you better start breathing."
Let me say this. Why did it take half that call for him to say, "Oh, there's a knife in her heart"?
Oh my god.
Right. Well, and that's the thing.
She stabbed herself.
Oh, okay.
And then she fell on it. But here's
Yeah.
the thing too is, and I wish I had a diagram of it, which I should have found one. The pictures of the crime scene. So when he says, yes, she's on her back, either he's lying or he staged it after the fact, because the picture has like where, you know, like in a kitchen when the cabinets come together and they're like that corner, she was actually propped up in that corner with her head down and the knife still stuck in her chest. So at some point, if she was already passed or unresponsive, how does she get from laying down, as he said, to propped up, sitting up in a corner? And then they have, you know, crime scene pictures. And he said, there's blood all over. There's blood all over. But one of the things that an investigator way down the road noticed is she had a towel in her hand, and it was a white towel, and there was no blood on that towel, but she was clenching it. Now, I'm going to show a picture here soon, but this woman was not stabbed once. She was stabbed over 20 times. So if she stabbed herself or if she fell on it, you're going to fall on a knife 20 times. And while we talk about this, I'm going to pull open the diagram. So when the police got there, they assessed the crime scene, or they assessed the scene. She was sitting up in the corner. She had a knife sticking out of her chest. There was a little bit of blood, not what you would think from 20 stab wounds. There was probably like this much, right?
Yeah.
And they checked. There was a sliding glass door like most apartments have. There were no footprints in the snow, so they knew nobody came in and out or out of that way. And they actually, before they even left, the police officer wrote it down as a suicide because the door was locked just by that latch. Now, I'm going to show you guys this picture. And Nate, I know you've seen it. Tom, I don't know if you looked at it when I sent it to you guys, but this poor woman was stabbed over 20 times.
Yeah.
I think they said 11 of the stab wounds were in her neck and the back of the head. Okay. When I show you this, I am sorry, but there is no possible way that someone would unalive themselves in this manner. So this is from the coroner. So when they did the autopsy, each knife is a stab wound. She had this giant gash on her head. She had all of, I'm pointing to the screen like you guys can see me. She has all of the stab wounds in the back and then all the stab wounds in the chest and the abdomen. Tell me how anybody in their right mind would classify this as a suicide. Because as we tested before, you guys said you wouldn't even be able to stab yourself with that force in the back.
No.
Maybe in the neck
There's no
area,
way.
maybe, but
Yeah.
even then,
Go,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, and then no, go ahead, Nate.
The length of the knife, like to try to even get behind, you're a woman, you could do it a little better than, but like there's no getting back there with the knife long enough to like do that to yourself, especially that many times. There's no way.
Right. Well, and then the part, so they did say, they said because the door was latched that they ruled it a suicide. She goes to the coroner. They build this diagram. The coroner actually changes it and puts it as a homicide. And apparently, because the door was locked, the police that had originally responded to the call, I don't want to say harassed because that's kind of a harsh word and people can get in trouble for that, but they were strongly opinionated about the cause of death. And they wanted it ruled as a suicide because the doors were locked. Now let's go back to, you can learn how to lock and unlock that door with a coat hanger from YouTube. You can learn anything from YouTube, including Realm of Darkness.
That's a cheap plug.
Hey, there's a lot of good shows on YouTube. But then when the coroner was going, like, there were bruises. Some were new, some were old.
Mhm.
But the police put in their file that Ellie had no defensive wounds. Now,
Yeah.
hear me out. That gash in the back, if you hit someone, and this woman, she was a small girl. She was a small girl. If you hit somebody hard enough, or you stab them hard enough in the back of the neck, you're going to either knock the wind out of them. You're going to give them that starry kind of daisy feel. They're not going to be able to fight back. And I bring that up because of our next picture. So I might be jumping ahead, but one of those stab wounds did in fact hit her spinal cord. Here's another diagram. So that one actually, the N and the T, that hit her spinal cord and actually later found out that it was severed. So if you are stabbed hard enough and you sever your spinal cord, you're not going to be able to fight back. You're not going to be able to.
You're not going to be able to move. Yeah, you're going to lose
Right.
movement. You're going to be just drop to that at that point.
Right.
With that one, the N is actually going right into her brain itself. Like there's.
So then my question is, which stab wounds were first? The ones in the back?
So they did say due to clotting that the clots on the back and the neck were a little bit like thicker. So they think that those ones were initiated first.
So then how did she stab herself in the front of her chest?
Exactly.
Well, and that's the other thing.
Spinal cord.
When her fiance supposedly found her, the knife was still stuck in her heart. Or you can see in the where E.
You heard
is.
it in the 911 call. It says it's in their chest, it's in their heart.
So even if she stabbed herself in the chest first, then went to the neck, the minute you sever that cord, she's not going to be able to come back around and jam it back in her chest. It's just not going to happen. And, the fact that the police, the scene was never investigated. It was never locked down. It was never considered a crime scene because they always said it was a suicide. So things were, I don't want to say tampered with. Things were not as organized as they should have been. There was no investigating. The fiance didn't go through questioning. The neighbors, all they got were, did you hear anything? Nobody investigated anything.
So I want to go back to one thing, though, and see if you guys picked up on it. In that call, did either of you hear what sounded like he was kind of chuckling at one point?
Mm-hmm.
While he was trying to act hysterical?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I am sorry, but if you walk in on your spouse with a knife in their chest, maybe shock will take place. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're going to go into fight or flight, and you're going to do whatever it takes to save that spouse.
I think one of the things that hit me most in that 911 call was the first time that she told him to calm down, and his voice changed. Like, oh, I'm calm now. Like, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't feel right to me. You're not gonna. You can
Yeah.
tell somebody to calm down in that situation, but if somebody's laying in blood, like, there is no calm.
Well,
There's a lot wrong with that call.
Right. And don't you think if you walked in and saw your fiance in that state, when you call 911, you're going to know if they're responsive. You're going to know if they're breathing.
Yep.
You're not going to walk in and go, oh my gosh, let me call 911. No, you're going to go and go, oh my God, are you okay? What happened? And when they're not responding, people do under the nose. You're going to know. And I'm sorry, but if a knife can sever your spinal cord, you can't see it sticking out of her chest. She was like 100 pounds soaking wet.
Right? Like, that's the first thing I think you'd notice is a knife sticking out of her heart.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
halfway through the call, oh, look, there's a knife in her chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the only thing, too, is a lot of the reason that kind of fed into the suicide ruling is they had found out that she had been going to a therapist. Now, this is in 2011, and I do think like therapy has become very popular recently. In 2011, I don't know if it was as popular as it is now, where it seems like everybody goes and goes for a multitude of reasons. But she was going to therapy. But even in her therapist notes, like the notes physically said that she would not be someone who would cause self-harm. She is not worried about a suicidal type of mindset. So that right there says it. But she was on 2 different drugs, and I forget, Ambien and something else.
Klonopin?
Yes. So she was on like not an antidepressant, but like an anti-anxiety and then a sleeping pill.
It was specifically for managing anxiety and panic attacks. That's what they prescribed. That
but
for.
Also, I mean, just going to therapy doesn't inherently mean you're suicidal.
No. And even therapists said that she had no concern of that. But
literally,
they said,
like on the notes, not suicidal. That's the note. That's all it said, was not suicidal.
Yes.
So
but her
all of a sudden-
fiance kept saying, she has a lot of anxiety. Okay, well, you're going to be anxious when you're planning a wedding.
Well, that's it. She's planning a wedding.
Yeah.
Her job was stressful. That was one thing that she wanted to quit her job.
Yeah.
I did see that. Like she reached out to her parents like maybe a month before, wanted to quit her job, wanted to move back home 2 hours away to wherever they were from. And that's when they talked her into, maybe you should see somebody. That's when she started going to the psychologist.
I can't lie, though. I would love to see a picture of that door latch. I have to imagine that the police took a picture of it as evidence, right?
They did. And actually,
I would just love to see that picture.
The one I sent you, I don't think was the actual one, Ashley. That was just one as an example. But
No. But I would actually love. I mean, honestly, I would love to see if there was any type of damage to that
barely
door frame or the latch or anything.
Here, I got a picture. I don't know. It's kind of blurry. There you go.
Oh, so that's the actual. That's the actual door.
That's the actual latch. So this portion, where's my finger at? This portion right here is broken, but this latch part over here is not.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see.
Yeah.
It is just barely like nudged. But my thing, and I'll send this to you in the chat, you could have unlocked the door, gone in, and taken pliers and ripped that off.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, there's ways. And even when the death was ruled a suicide, it didn't sit well with the parents. And they, even all that stuff that you had just said, I mean, I think all of us have felt that same way in some type of form. Like, there's been days where I'm like, F this job, I want to quit. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious, I don't know what to do with myself. And those feelings she was having, especially being a teacher and planning a wedding, none of those feelings are not valid. You know, they're all very valid feelings for a 27-year-old female.
So, Ryan in the chat did say, to be fair, those latches break pretty easy. Yeah. But I want to follow up with that and say that wouldn't one of those sides break completely off, though, if you kicked in a door?
Especially if it's like, I know what you guys are going to do. But if it latches like this, and you kick it in,
I feel like at least one side would have been broken completely off if you're kicking in a door. Especially if you have to use a good chunk of force on that door.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, if only it was latched, like it was, because I guess he said the door was locked, but was the handle also locked, or could he get it open far enough? Because that also can affect how easily it will break. So it's like, I don't know, there's just so many different, his story to me just all around is not really believable, I guess. But so when the parents found out that it was ruled a suicide, finally, after it was changed from a homicide, they decided to hire their own investigators, their own detectives. And one of the main detectives on the case was actually a retired detective, and he took it on and he went through everything. And when the parents reached out to the department that originally investigated the case, they had asked to come in and see all of the documents and see the evidence and all that stuff. And they allowed the parents to, but they said they were not allowed to bring that detective with them. They were not allowed to take pictures. They were not allowed to make copies. They weren't allowed to make phone calls. They had to read it on their own and then try to figure it out from there.
And who is not trained in that kind of thing is going to be able to read any of that stuff and make any sense out of any of it. I would look at it and I wouldn't know terms and stuff like that. Like, come on now. It's weird.
And emotion's going to get in the way. I mean, can you imagine reading those type of things about someone that you care so fondly of?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But real quick, we're about halfway through the show. So we are going to take a really quick commercial. So Realm of Darkness will be at Valerie Vineyards on June 7th. We are going to be live broadcasting. My brain skipped right there. We are going to be live broadcasting from the vineyard. You can buy tickets. It includes appetizers, wine. There's an investigation, a little bit of a mingling beforehand, but it's going to be a really good time. So I want to show a quick clip of it, and hopefully we will see you guys there.
Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is there somebody here in the stairwell with us? Is there somebody here right here?
All right. So again, that is Valerie Vineyards on June 7th with the Haunted Mafia. You can get tickets at thehauntedmafia.com/events. If you are interested, message us and we can send you guys the info. Anyway, during that commercial, we had a really good comment, and it says that if the door is locked by knob or bolt, latch, doesn't matter, that kicking it in is going to remove the door jamb.
That was my thinking. Like, I just feel like kicking that in would just remove at least some part of that latch. But the fact that both of them were still attached.
And the door is not damaged.
Yeah, it just screams not what he said.
Right.
Malarkey.
Shenanigans.
So here's another thing, too, that I found interesting. So another reason that they said it was a suicide is they ran DNA on the knife. The only DNA found on that knife was Ellen's. Now, I understand that that's not people consider that a smoking gun. However, if you live in a house with utensils and silverware and knives, like you live there, would your DNA not be on it just kind of by default?
Well, I guess it would matter if they're saying only her prints were on it.
They are.
So his weren't on it at all.
No DNA whatsoever. They said literally the only. Oh, we lost Nate.
No.
Oh no, Nate. They said the only DNA and the only prints were hers.
So I guess my next question would be, he was working out, right? Supposedly. Mm-hmm. Does he wear workout gloves?
Right. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, so somebody has gloves on. But because I think, and I don't know, I will have to Google this, but like, even if you run something through the dishwasher, like, would your, you're back.
Hey.
Would your prints or would your DNA still be on it?
Someone said not if it was a dishwasher with sanitization setting.
Okay. I don't think I ever set mine to that. So if there's ever prints on my knives.
To be honest, I didn't know a dishwasher had that setting.
No.
Does that mean Kat does all the dishwashing?
Oh, no. Well, technically, we don't have a dishwasher in the apartment, but
okay.
The house does.
We'll give you that. But So a lot of these things, like I said, I don't know. I understand why somebody who is not trained and somebody who is not a seasoned cop may think that Ryan said Nate went to the gym. Nate, if we hear that there's somebody stabbed in your kitchen later, you're in big trouble, buddy.
But don't worry, he kicked in the door.
Yeah, he kicked in the door, but didn't break the latches. You were awfully gentle with it.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. Like I said, I guess if you're like a new cop or, and maybe, I don't know, because detectives, they're cops first. I don't know.
Things weren't done properly at all.
Right. Well, and the fact that they didn't even lock down the crimes, suicide or homicide or break it, whatever the case, when there are 20 stab wounds, I feel like that should have been secured. And it should have been investigated, because you see all the time on the news and on the ID channel and all these shows, people are investigated and questioned and interrogated for a lot less.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally a lot less.
From my reading and stuff like that, the autopsy wasn't even done yet, and the apartment was already open to everybody. And they were already having it cleaned later that day by a professional cleaning service. So by the time that we go on, the first autopsy that the coroner did was ruled a homicide. But by the time they did that, the crime scene was already cleaned, opened, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So any evidence that was there would have been wiped away at that point. So.
Exactly. Well, and the police had wrote on the paper before they even left the apartment, suicide.
Yeah.
And that's what they turned in, and that's kind of why it went that way. But then after, like I said, after the parents got the third notice of it being a suicide, they did hire their own investigator, their own detective, and he started really digging into it. And then he was able to bring someone else on board, and they kind of started investigating it together. And they were finding so many things that just didn't line up as well. She was cutting fruit, so she was preparing food. And one of the things they said is somebody who is contemplating suicide is not going to start prepping food and in the middle of it be like, you know what, now's the time.
Yeah.
She also
same thing, she got gas on her way home. Somebody that's got plans to do anything, they're not going to do that. She was doing schoolwork, putting grades into a thing. Somebody that's thinking of offing themselves, they're not going to do things like that. They're going to have other things on their mind. So
right.
The whole thing doesn't add
they
up.
even said in some of the pictures, they had pictures of her sitting up in that corner, but he in his call said that she was laying on her back. But the detective that the parents had hired said that there was a picture of her, and from her nose straight back into her ear was a perfect line of dried blood. No drip marks, no run, no nothing. So they said, based on the way that it had dripped and the way that it had ran into her ear, that she had to have been laying on her back when it happened, and then long enough for that blood to dry there before she was propped up. So they also are the ones who found the towel in her hand that did not have any blood on it. And they're the ones that pointed out the very little blood that was on the floor. And they're the ones that said, with 20 stab wounds, especially to your chest and abdomen and the back of your neck, which are very, as they said, bloody areas, there would have been more than a puddle about this big. And it was almost a perfect circle. It wasn't, and there was maybe a little handprint on the cabinet, but not. I mean, we see crime scenes where somebody stabbed twice, and it looks like a complete massacre.
Yeah.
But it didn't line up, and they're still fighting to this day. Right now, her case is still labeled as a suicide all these years later.
So I guess my next question is, what is he doing now?
The fiance?
Yeah, he's married with kids. He was married 2 years later, so.
2 years.
Gee.
Yeah.
Which seems...
I could understand maybe after a breakup, but after your fiance is brutally unalived, murdered, suicide, whatever you believe it is. Well, and here's the other thing the detective did say statistically, like, not to make females sound weak, because we're not, we're just smarter, but they said statistically women are not going to commit suicide in a violent manner.
She's saying she can hide bodies better than we can.
No, but they say, like, when men decide to unalive themselves, that it is normally a gun or something like carbon monoxide, locking themselves in the car, something a little bit more aggressive and violent, especially aggressive. But women are more likely to do something a little less painful. And if they do something that's considered violent, it's slitting of the wrist, not stabbing themselves all those times. But also, she had 2 medications that she was prescribed. If she truly wanted to commit suicide, why not just take all those pills?
Could have just taken all that Ambien and never woke up.
Yeah, you take a combination of those, you're not waking up. And then you're not also having 20 stab wounds.
No.
And I guess, like, my whole thing is, like, y'all have gotten, like, a paper cut or, you know, cut yourself with a knife before. Like, that hurts. Like,
it hurts. Yeah.
There's no way around that. That hurts. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think I could stab myself more than, like, a couple times and be like, well, I don't want to do this anymore. This kind of hurts. Like,
just once and I'm going to cry. Like, it's not going to feel good.
How am I going to keep going?
Yeah.
Right.
There's just something not right in that.
No.
Right. And that's why, and like I said, even with, and we'll go back to this picture, the gash on her head, like, to be able to, that length of a knife, to have your hand back that, okay, maybe I can, but, and to stab yourself with that force, to be able to, like, rip your head open and then continue to stab yourself, I just don't, it's just not logical to me.
Did they say that gash in the head was from a stab wound?
They did not. Actually, I don't think they ever said
saw anything about it yet.
No,
all they said is that it was a wound, an open wound in the back of her head, but I don't think they ever said it was from a knife, or they did say that she did not have blunt force trauma.
Okay. But that doesn't mean, I'm going to say, I mean, it would have to have been probably a stab wound then.
Yeah.
I mean, even if she fell and hit her head, there'd still be blunt force on it.
Yeah, there'd be
Right. Well, and here's another good comment. It says, couldn't they figure out from the angle and the locations of the stab wounds to figure out if a person was even able to do, I got to see more. Hold on. Able to do this themselves. And I agree. I think, but they just, because they automatically rolled it as a suicide, they didn't. And they said, I believe, Nate, I think we talked about this. They did say that some of the wounds to the back were very shallow. And that's why they kind of also said it could have been a suicide, because it wasn't forceful enough to go deeper into the skin.
So I'm assuming that diagram is not an accurate depiction of how they went into her? Like, angle-wise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they drew that diagram. That was actually, I believe, what the coroner did, and then it was in the police files.
Okay.
That's actually, we have some really good comments. I wish they were popping up on here so I could put them on the bottom of the screen. Yeah. But even this says, so knife hits on the neck normally state that the person was held over something like a counter at the waist width, that the perp's body is covering the back. If it's on the ground, some or most of it will be in the back.
So I'll say this in speculation, because that's how we have to say it. But if she was prepping food,
she's going to be like this, cutting.
He comes up right behind her, holds her down.
Yep. And if you are face down getting stabbed, you're not going to be able to fight back. You're not going to have that skin under your nails. You're not going to have the defensive wounds that you would have if somebody attacked you from the front.
Well, especially if the stab right in the back of the neck gets your spinal cord, you're done anyway. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a really, really sad case. And when I first watched this one years ago, when it had first happened, it broke my heart, because the parents, they have to go through life with their daughter's death ruled as a suicide. And, she was the only child. Her father was a doctor. She was a daddy's girl. I mean, she was very, very close to her parents. And to have that blame put on your daughter is just not fair.
No.
I mean, I could just imagine, like, if he's still in the Philadelphia area, walking by him, that family walking by him on the street, in a store, and just knowing, like, you have to know.
Right. Well, and then I also want to know too, like, when the autopsy was done, she had all these bruises on her body. So, as a mother, like, I know, I mean, kids have bruises, but she was 27 years old. And okay, I bruise myself up too. I run into things, I whatever. But the amount of bruises that she had on her body was outrageous for a 27-year-old. So as a mother, I would instantly be like, okay, well, was she abused? Which would then get, if she did commit suicide, which I do not believe she did, was it to get out of an abusive relationship? So it's like you lose your daughter, but you also lose this person you thought was going to be your son-in-law too.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to go with the fact that if those bruises were there and it was an abusive relationship, that it most likely escalated to, unfortunately, murder.
Well, part of the thing I saw too, like leading up to the whole event, was like her family and friends and all said that her whole, attitude had changed. Like almost like she was being controlled. Like there was one story I saw where a friend asked her to come and do something, and she didn't answer. She said, "Let me go check and see what he thinks first," which is, a sign of a controlling relationship right there. Like, you just can't decide for yourself. But that wasn't something, she had ever done before. It was fairly recent until that time. So, which all adds up to her, if she was being abused, maybe she was reaching out to the mom and the dad to come home because she wanted to get away. I saw she asked, there was a cousin that lived in the city of Philadelphia too, and she asked to move in with them too, but she didn't want to come out and say why, because what if he was monitoring the phone and stuff like that. So, well, and she would always say it's nothing. Like when she wanted to move with her parents, she told them it has nothing to do with Sam, the fiance, nothing to do with him.
And that's what I was just going to say. I'm glad you said that, because even with her therapist, when they looked at the documents, they said, oh, there's nothing but great things said about her fiance. Let's be honest. We love our family. We love our spouses, but there are days that you want to slap them up sometimes. And if you're going, I mean that figuratively.
Do we need to check out Brian?
Brian's alive and well and in the living room, I'm assuming. Do I need to call him in here for a wellness check? But no, there's days that you get on each other's nerves. You're not all puppies and rainbows and bubblegum. And if you're going to a therapist, I feel like unless you're being brainwashed or unless there is something else going on, you're going to complain about your spouse too. You're like, oh my God, they didn't put the dishes away. Or I asked them 3 times to fold the socks, or, whatever it is.
Who folds socks?
Well, you kind of roll them up, whatever.
Them together,
yeah.
Again, who folds socks?
One of the comments I just read, Ryan asked, what if the police were in on it too? Which brings up another point. Sam's uncle, did you see this story where he was a pretty high-profile lawyer in the city of Philadelphia?
No.
Yeah, that was a thing. Like, so, and that who he happened to be in touch with that next day, I guess. The uncle, the lawyer, went to the apartment the next day and grabbed cell phones and stuff like that. Which, why would you need any of that stuff? Yeah,
if you're innocent, then why is that
another
even?
thing that didn't add up. Well, I guess he called him after he hung up the phone with 911. So none of it makes sense. Why are you calling your uncle, of all people, who happens to be a big time lawyer in the city of Philadelphia?
Right. Well, here's the other thing.
A lot of things that don't make sense.
If you were locked out and you text them and they didn't answer, are you not going to call? because there were no calls made to her. They were only text messages.
Oh, I mean, that'd be the first thing you do besides pounding on the door to like.
You'd be calling her cell phone.
Yeah.
There were no calls to the cell phone. It was all through text message, and I think the text messages create an alibi. Just like who goes to the gym? Like I said, walking from the apartment to the gym, and when you get in the gym, you don't instantly start working out. You know, get your water bottles up, turn your headset on or your earphones, whatever.
Yeah,
So
I must be the worst gym person ever because I'm usually in there
I'm-
15, 20 minutes and I'm out.
I'm so
Like,
glad
I'm not
you
even
brought up
joking.
Alibi. Good point, because let's go back to the 911 call when the second dispatcher gets on the phone and said, "What happened?" Instead of telling her that my fiance is on the floor, she needs help, he goes into the story on the 911 call where, "Well, I was just at the gym and I was doing this and I came back upstairs." Like, they don't need to know that on the 911 call. They need to know what the emergency is.
Exactly.
He's giving a whole list of things he was doing at the time. Maybe
So
that,
speaking-
start building an alibi. Like,
Right.
So speaking of
You
that
don't do
gym
that.
part, though, did they ever narrow down a time of death?
Not that I
never
saw.
one. Yeah, I never saw one.
Well, that's the other thing is if he was only gone, he was gone for 30 minutes, he said.
Mhm.
She was alive when he left. So in 30 minutes, she was cutting fruit. She locked the door. She got a knife. She stabbed herself 20 times and then she died. That is a lot to do in 30 minutes.
I mean, do we
Well,
really
that-
believe that she was alive when he left? I mean, let's
No.
be honest. I mean,
No, and
If we're saying what we think is the case here, yeah, no, he left after she was already.
sorry,
like-
there was a really good comment that just came through that I
Like,
did not think of. Did you
that's
see
my
it,
whole.
Tom? So it says,
Yeah,
did they check his phone for an app that can send texts at programmed date and time?
Ooh, I never saw anything about it.
I never thought of that.
So
That is
you-
a really good point. I guess did that app exist in 2011?
maybe not. Yeah, you gotta think this is 14 years ago if my math was right.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just so many things. And again, I don't. Oh, Tom lost internet. He said, "Oh, I thought he was looking at something on his phone."
Yeah,
He
so did
just
I, yeah.
froze it. I thought he was Googling things.
Not very good.
Oh my gosh. I really thought he was Googling something. I'm like, oh, he's going to come back with something good.
Look how intent he looks though. He looks like he's definitely Googling something.
Oh yeah. I could see him like just scrolling.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just everything. And again, like we're not police officers. We're not detectives, but we are sitting here going, how did they miss this? How did they not investigate this? How did they not look into that? And I did not know that his uncle was a lawyer.
No, yeah, that I saw that, and I'm like, like he made that call to his uncle that night, like, and why is the uncle going in there? Obviously, it's not a crime scene, and nothing he did was illegal. Like, he was, you know, they weren't at that point. It was a suicide, so there is no crime scene. There is nothing. So,
and I think if he did call his uncle, I could see if they were super close or if he helped raise him, because I think my first phone call would be to my parents. Like, I need you, please get here, storm or not, I need you. But for his uncle to come in, oh, Tom's back. For his uncle to come in.
No idea what happened.
We thought you were Googling because you were just like,
no,
it looked like you're
all of a sudden, everything just shut off and then came back on. So I have no idea what happened. But anyways, continue.
For her parents, the fact they were 2 hours away, they couldn't even get there because of the blizzard that was going on.
Yeah.
Like, to have to stay home and just like they found out about everything from the guy's parents. That's who called and told them everything. So,
do you think he planned to do it that time because of that blizzard?
I don't think if he did it, I don't think he was like, we have snow coming, I'm going to do this. I think because I don't know. I think like I'm going to sound like an awful person, but if I were looking at doing something like that, I'm trying to stage it as a suicide. I would have waited for her to take her medication before bed. Then I would have probably crushed some up and put it in some water and coaxed her to drink a little bit more and to drink a little bit more. Or you can even crush it and just slightly open and then, like there's so many different ways.
There is, but at the same time, we're talking.
I think it was something I think it was out of from the wounds. It looks more like a passion kill, if that makes sense.
I mean, it does, but
not a methodical.
But my brain's also going to the fact that if there's a blizzard going on, he knew it was going to take a while for police to get there.
But it actually didn't take long for the police to get there. Didn't. And I think
what call was at 6:30, and they were there by 6:40, pronouncing her dead at 6:42. Yeah. So the time isn't. Yeah.
I honestly think something happened. Whether he got angry, because if she had bruises before, and hypothetically, if they were in an abusive relationship, those type of people fly off the handle very quickly. That would explain the prep of food, the multiple stab wounds, because they always say that when there is a crime of passion, that it is normally out of jealousy, rage, something of that nature. And that is why they get so many wounds. If it's like a self-defense or an accident, you get 1-2 stab wounds. You're not going to have 20 or 50 or 45 or whatever. You're going to have just a couple. So that's why I think it was something a little bit more rage-induced. And then I think he came down and was like, oh crap, what the hell did I do? And went to the gym. Because now you need an alibi.
Yeah, but see, I'm gonna be a little different from you on that because of that 911 call. That 911 call was very methodical.
Well, when you're at a gym for a half hour and you're not working out, you got lots of things to think about. Mm-hmm. And he knows. And when you live in an apartment, you know where those cameras are. I knew where all the cameras were in my old apartment. So you can't say, oh, I went out to grab milk at the grocery store. Well, there's a blizzard. So you have to somehow get yourself out of that house for the amount of time allotted for her to kill herself. So you're going to be like, where can I go that I can walk to where I'm going to be able to create an alibi, and there's going to be cameras. The gym.
But are you going to really say that in the 20 to 30 minutes he was at the gym that he came down from killing someone that quickly?
But we don't know how long she was dead. Because when the police arrived, there was already dried blood.
Correct. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's why I want to know when she actually, what was the time of death compared to the rest of the evening?
Well, that's why I'm thinking, like I said, it might have been a rage kill instantly, because go ahead, Nate. Your wheels are turning.
You think of some of the most stressful things in your life. Like, I've never been married, but I can imagine wedding planning and stuff like that isn't all that enjoyable. It's probably super stressful. What if the invitations just got sent out?
Yes, but
somebody. What if?
But there was never a point in my wedding planning where I wanted to murder someone.
Okay. Ask your wife, maybe. I don't know.
No, honestly, there was never a time when anyone wanted to murder anybody, because that's just not a normal thing you want to think about.
Yeah. Were you mad ever?
But also, you guys don't.
I mean, yes.
But you don't have anger issues, and I'm only speaking because
I do.
Well, I'm speaking. Well,
I do.
I feel like when you get mad, it's like legitimate.
You haven't seen me mad. To be honest, you haven't seen me mad.
Well, good. I hope I know, because
you can ask Nate. You can ask Nate and Kat. Yeah, I have some anger problems, but it still never made me want to kill someone.
Well, so I do know somebody who has extreme anger issues, and they have those rage manic episodes. Okay, and they will go from 0 to 100 at the drop of a hat. And I say this because, and I have known for this person to be extremely violent. They did something that was extremely violent, put someone in the hospital for a very, very long time. They lashed out of anger. After it happened, they were like, oh crap. And then they ran. And then they're like, oh, well, I was here. And they did. They methodically thought out an alibi, where they were, who they were with, what they were doing. And again, now there were cameras, so they did get caught. But I think if you suffer from like manic rage, I don't even know if that's the right term from it. I do see where he could have, she got mad. Maybe she said, hey, I'm going to move home with my parents for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That could have set him off. He kills her. He's like, oh crap, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
You're already in your own apartment. You could sit on the couch for a minute, because then again, there's also time. There had to be time to clean up that extra blood and prop her up and do all the things that the other detectives thought were done.
Yeah.
No, I will say yes, but I'm going to die on the hill that I think he planned it out.
You think so?
I think it's just, to me, it's that.
But why so violent?
Because, I mean, there's one point he's laughing. Like, literally laughing.
He could be psychotic.
I mean, I'm not saying he can't be, but without a medical examination from a psychiatrist saying he's psychotic, I have to go based on what we hear and what we know. So I will die on the hill that I think he knew he was going to do it, and I just think he waited for the right moment. Because at the same time, you don't know if there's a blizzard going on. You don't know how long it's going to take police to get there. They could have came faster than he thought. You know, he could have thought, blizzard, it's going to take them a little bit to get here. I have some time.
Yeah. I just don't think that if it was planned, it would have, like, I feel like if you planned a murder to look like a suicide, I feel like you're going to take extra precautions to truly make it look like a suicide. Like, anybody who looks at this, aside from the police, anybody who looks at this says, oh, this is not suicide. This is absolutely homicide. I don't think he would have stabbed her, or anybody would have stabbed her 20 plus times. I think it would have been an accidental drowning in a tub. Oh, she hit her head in the tub, while she was in the tub. Yeah. Or, oh, she took too much medicine and overdosed. Or slit her wrist, or a gunshot. Something that's a little bit more believable.
So let me ask you.
And if he did plan it, he's a really shitty criminal.
Well, I think we already knew. I think we already know that. But let me ask you this though: did they do any toxicology reports?
They did.
They did.
And they did.
It was the only drugs. Yeah, the only drugs in her system were prescribed to her, and there was no alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
How much of the prescription was in her system is what I would like to know.
The correct amount.
Yeah, just the normal.
Mm-hmm. Because they did put in the report that the medication had nothing to do with that. And then also, here's the thing is, when you're on medication, normally your blood is thinned a little bit. So which means she would have probably bled more. And the fact that there was not much blood on the floor. Again, I'm not a professional, but these are all hypothetical opinions of mine.
There's only certain medications that will really thin your blood out.
Well, a lot, but some of them.
Yeah. But I don't think Ambien's one that's going to thin your blood out. Just.
I know they still argue that the medication played a part, and if she was to unalive herself, one of the side effects of the medication was depression and those kind of thoughts. So that's one of the things the other law enforcement, I guess in this case, like the police department, argued that as a reason to why she did it,
but there's, I mean, a lot of medications do have that, and I do feel like it's just for a liability reason.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's why, I mean, you always hear, oh, vomiting, diarrhea, upsets. Well, that's more like Pepto-Bismol, but you know where I'm going with that.
I was about to are we having another commercial?
Yeah, no, but I think they put that because a lot of medications say, suicidal thoughts and depression and stuff like that. And I think they have to for liability reasons.
Yeah, I think you're right.
At the end of the day, I think that this is a case that should have been looked at a lot more thoroughly. Than it should. Number one, it should never have been ruled a suicide right away. At all.
Right.
I mean, it's unfortunate that it almost seems like they made, and again, this is just speculation on my part, but it kind of almost seems like maybe they didn't really take it seriously enough, and they just said, "Oh, here's a young woman who, is taking these pills for whatever," and she killed herself.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It is.
I wish the family could get more closure than just that answer.
Did you happen to see just actually February of this year the news that came out about the case?
No.
Okay, so initially the coroner ruled it a homicide, but later after the fact, after the police department basically overruled him and said no, it was a suicide, he changed it to suicide. Well, her parents have been fighting this whole time, this entire time, and they had lawsuits and all sorts of stuff, all this. Back in February of this year, so 14 years later, the coroner's like, well, we basically changed his mind, so now it's not ruled a homicide. He's saying it's not a suicide; it's suspicious. So it's a small battle for the family in the grand scheme of things, but because now it's not a suicide, I think they can reopen the case, right? Is that what I read?
Yeah. So, yeah, if they mark it as suspicious, I believe they can reopen the case. And I did hear that they were going to mark it as which I don't understand, but inconclusive.
Inconclusive, yeah.
Yeah, inconclusive. So I'm
basically suspicious, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that the parents can keep fighting and hopefully have the case reopened.
Yeah.
Because it's a terrible situation. And, anybody that's still hanging out with us right now, there is a Facebook page that is dedicated to Ellen Greenberg that you can kind of keep up on the case. There is, hashtag Justice for Ellen. They are doing all kinds of things. They're keeping everybody updated on there. So if this is a case that has interest you can head over there, follow it. I follow it, so I try to keep up on it. And hopefully one day, the family will have justice for her. And I'm going to say it. I hope they bring her killer. I hope they get her. I hope they will say get him, and he pays for what he did to that poor girl.
Yeah. We're not, like we said, we're not saying he did it, but...
No. Somebody did it.
Somebody did something.
Somebody did something.
Sure.
Somebody did it.
And somebody may know something.
And if you do, contact the police.
Correct.
That's right.
Philadelphia, PA is where it happened. But with that, we are coming to an end of the show. Yeah. This was such a great case to follow for years. I don't know if you guys had known about it beforehand, but I know you guys, I know, Tom, you came in kind of not wanting to know, but I know Nate, you really dug in pretty deep. Was really doing some investigating.
Nate went down that rabbit hole.
He did. And the video you made was great. So we loved it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. So next week, we're not sure what we're doing for a case next week. If you guys have any suggestions, send them on.
Cotton Eye Joe. Where did it come from? Where did it go?
Wait, what?
I said Cotton Eye Joe. Where did it come from? Where did it go? Next week.
I don't know if we can have a whole episode on Cotton Eye Joe, but we could try.
Yeah. And if you guys are watching this on Facebook, head over to YouTube. We are officially breaking out. We are on our own. It is just the three of us. So
we have no shackles.
We have dropped the ball and chain. So head over to YouTube, give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, watch the show there.
If you don't know what that means, contact us and we'll tell you.
Yeah, we'll send it to you. We share it on our Facebooks. Also, like I said, if you have a case that you think's interesting that you want us to talk about, and send it to one of us. We're always looking for new cases, new things. It doesn't have to be true crime. We do cover paranormal as well. So hit us up. We'd love to hear from you guys.
So I want to also plug one other thing, because you all know how much I love coverage of missing persons, because I think it's absolutely a big thing that needs to be covered. There is a show on, you can see it on Hulu if you have Hulu and stuff. It's an offshoot of America's Most Wanted called Missing Persons.
Yes.
It has been one of the best new missing person shows. It actually focuses a lot on minorities and other people that may not get the coverage that they need. So I would definitely say check it out, because it has been great to watch.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
And
my
yeah,
plug.
check that out. Text Me When You Get Home is a great show. And if you guys want to come hang out with us live and maybe be a guest or whatever, we have a couple events we're going to. Like I said, we're going to the Valerie Vineyard on June 7th with the Haunted Mafia. We will be, and we're so excited, we will be at Gettysburg Bash in July. So all of us are going to be there. We're going to have a table at the Bash. So we're super excited about that. We'll be live all 3 days. We'll be broadcasting, interviewing, walking around.
Come say hello, because we have to leave at like 4 a.m. to make it that time. So
bring coffee. So
Lots
come say hi to us and hang out for a little bit and just enjoy all the people. Gettysburg Bash is awesome. It's huge, and there's going to be a lot of really great people there. So I'm really excited about that. Too. I did say there is a karaoke contest, and if I have enough mimosas, I will wrap my little heart out.
Is it true that I heard that for this karaoke you have to wear pajamas?
You do. I saw you have to wear Christmas jammies. So I have Christmas jammies. I might just wear those for the whole week because it is Christmas in July.
It is. That is the whole premise of it. So
I have a onesie. Don't you tempt me with a good time. But with that, and then after that, head over to Haunted Travels.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on that one.
Yeah, don't shush. But also Haunted Travels. Look for that. We're gonna be filming, putting episodes out. So we got a lot of stuff going on, guys. So
we're busy.
And collabing with Ryan eventually when we can get a date together. So but with that,
we're collabing with people.
We are. It's gonna be fun. But with that, we are coming to an end. So it was fun to hang out with you guys. We love you. We will see you next week. Nate, Tom, you guys end it this time, not me.
Bye, everybody.
Well, everyone have a blessed evening.
I love you guys. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.